What part is this? 5? 6? Doesn't matter. Let's just get into the next questions. What do you enjoy most about writing fantasy, and why did you choose this genre for the books? Well, technically, it's fantasy with a dash of sci-fi and just fiction in general, I guess. But I've always been a bit of a reader, and the fantastic books with the larger-than-life characters and amazing themes and things always stuck with me, so it was kind of inevitable, really. I enjoy writing it the most because you can have such fantastic characters, powerful characters, bizarre characters, human, non-human, angel, demon, in the case of my books, and still write them with real emotions, with real personality traits. And doesn't matter how fantastic a character gets, you can still identify with them. And I've always loved that. And it's my favourite thing, is writing some of these characters like Envy and Wrath and Lahatiel and Ezekiel, and especially some of these larger-than-life characters that just have these moments that make them human. I love seeing the character growth of these sort of characters. I love the intertwining stories, the world building, the little hints of knowledge that drop in early, hints at greater characters and events for later. Fantasy is just the best for that, I think. It's just the one I have the most fun and also the most variety and ability to just write whatever I enjoy. And at the end of the day, if I enjoy it, then surely someone else will. So, fantasy is definitely the one for me. Hell, we play D&D, so it makes sense. Someone's question just starts with, love this, and yeah, me too. This is, I'm glad you enjoy it. I feel like this is a bit more interesting than just getting questions answered. And yeah, I'm hoping this leads to more questions. But anyway, they also say, they love the Sins, who they are and their backstories, and they want to know how I developed them, their characters and personalities. It's actually a pretty good question because, like most of the characters, they started on paper. Most of the main characters started as sketches, drawings. I have some I might show off at some point way back from in high school, where I just brainstormed some of the characters, and the Sins were no different. Most of them started as little sketches, and that helps me very much get into the idea of a character. Sometimes seeing the little details come together as you're drawing costumes and coming up with their weapons or whatever helps you explain more about the story, and it sort of helps you expand upon them when writing, and also makes it easier to describe them and so on and so forth. So they kind of go hand in hand. The Sins in particular, I wanted them to be different. I wanted something that I could connect to, first of all, since I needed to write them. But I didn't want them to be just another, the 7 Sins from this particular anime or this particular game, because there's enough out there, and I love some of the takes on them. There's the 7 Deadly Sins, Full Metal Alchemist. They've been in Final Fantasy, Supernatural, all sorts of things. So I needed them to be different to show that they weren't inspired by them. So the personalities kind of came from that. For example, Gluttony, who has yet to appear properly in the story, he's not going to be a big fat guy. I didn't want to do that because it's been done to death. So I thought about how else would I describe gluttony as a word, as how would that relate to a person. Sort of come up with a design from that, and then wrote this very interesting backstory, which is connected to all these other characters that have appeared in the story, but he himself has not yet. So I'm really looking forward to revealing that. Sloth has a quite interesting backstory, and I tried to think of things like, how did he become Sloth? How did he become this character? Why is he just lazy now? Envy, is a tricky one because he started out as just a drawing and an idea, and he didn't become envy as the sin until much later. That's when I sort of started writing, and he sort of fell into place that way. Characters like Lust are a little bit more what you would sort of expect, but with her own twist on it. So, yeah, I've tried to just keep them unique and different to things that have been out there before, and it's a creative process, and I'm quite proud of all of them, actually. I'm looking forward to really revealing more of their stories. Oh, and I just got a new question today, actually, and I'm just going to skip over a few questions because I really want to answer this one. It was sent to me by my old partner in crime, who used to actually write a lot of this stuff with me, and hint, hint, will again. Not letting you live that down. But she asks, what characters are my favourite to write, and what characters have surprised me with the direction they've taken as I've written more of the story? Oh, that is a good question. I've always said my favourite character to write is Lahatiel and Wrath, which those who've read the story know that those two are usually together, putting it mildly. Mainly because Wrath is just crazy and does the craziest stuff, and as I've mentioned previously, she usually does the first thing that comes to mind, and it really makes for interesting writing. So a lot of her scenes, I've got no idea what's going to happen. I just know they need to get from A to B. For example, they are trying to escape Abyssal, and Wrath just says, hey, there's some enemies over there, let's go fight them just for the sake of it. Or she'll be like, hey, I'm just going to take over and we're just going to fly for a bit until I get too tired and you're going to fall out of the sky. And just a lot of fun. Every scene she's in, even when she's not directly in it and it's just her thoughts, just the echo of her thoughts over whatever's happening is great. And when she takes control and does things like picks a fight with Envy, just so good. The most fun. I do obviously enjoy writing Envy. I'm very close to the character, so writing down his thoughts is almost cathartic to me. So that one does help a lot as well. But yeah, most of the characters have either great scenes and moments that are good, but those two would have to be my favourites. As for the ones which have changed the most, again, surprisingly, Lahatiel. The parts that I'm writing at the moment in what will essentially be book 4 or 5, when I started writing this, I didn't expect to use the character so much for this part of the story. She was originally just going to take a back seat and reappear later, but I realised we needed more from her perspective. And it's taking directions which I didn't expect, showing a little bit more of what's going on, so that has changed quite a bit. And the main character, of course, Ezekiel, his point of view shifts constantly as he meets new characters and things change. It's been a journey as a writer and for the character, so I'm really curious to see how he's going to turn out. At the moment, I'm leaning towards some kind of stress and almost PTSD of the things that happened at the end of book 3. So we'll see what happens to him after that, and I hope he comes through it okay, essentially. But yeah, thanks for the question. Really good question. And yeah, from everyone, actually, some really good ones. I'm really enjoying this, so keep them coming. Yeah, can't believe I just finger gunned. Until next time.